The city behind Ethan Cole was broken and on fire. Tall buildings were cracked and black. Cars lay upside down in the streets. Smoke climbed into the sky like dark fingers. Orange light from small fires flickered in broken windows. The air smelled like dust, burned metal, and fear. Ethan rode an old military bike down the cracked road that led away from the city. His dark armor was scratched. His face was tired and dirty. His helmet radio was quiet now, but one order still echoed in his head. Any alien leader found alive must be captured or killed. No exceptions. That had been Captain Briggs's voice. Hard, cold, final. Ethan had said, "Copy," at the time, but now, riding alone, the word felt heavy in his chest. Up ahead, the road turned into a narrow dirt track that led into a thick forest. Tall pine trees waited like a dark green wall. Ethan slowed the bike and turned onto the track. The city sounds faded behind him. The roar of war became a distant hum. The forest was different. The air smelled like wet soil and leaves. Birds called from high branches. Sunlight pushed through gaps in the trees and made bright spots on the ground. For a moment, Ethan could almost pretend the war was far away. He was headed to his small cabin. He had built it before the war, as a quiet place to escape from the noise of the city. Now it was the only place that still felt a little bit like home. As he rode deeper into the forest, he tried not to think about the alien queen.
I told you before, Ethan.
He had seen her face many times on screens. Queen Serai of the Neryth. Blue-gray skin, bright silver eyes, thin glowing lines on her neck and temples, a silver crown. The news called her a monster, a tyrant, the one who wanted humans to kneel. But Ethan had also seen other things. He had seen human leaders with greedy eyes. He had seen children, human and alien, crying in ruined streets. He had seen fear on both sides. His bike rolled into the small clearing where his cabin stood. It was a simple wooden house with a porch, 2 windows, and a metal chimney. He parked the bike and turned off the engine. For a moment, the forest was very quiet. Then he heard shouting. "Move! She went this way!" Branches snapped, heavy boots hit the ground. Someone crashed through the undergrowth, breathing hard. Ethan's muscles tensed. He moved off the path and slipped behind a thick tree, his rifle in his hands. He peered through the branches. He saw her. A tall figure in broken silver armor ran between the trees, stumbling and limping. Her skin was pale blue-gray. Thin glowing lines ran along her neck and temples. Her dark hair was messy, and a cracked silver crown sat crooked on her head. It was Queen Serai. She looked nothing like the posters that showed her standing strong and proud. Right now she looked tired, hurt, and very alone. Behind her, human soldiers pushed through the trees with rifles raised. "Target in sight!" one yelled. "Don't let her reach the cabin!" My cabin, Ethan realized, heart pounding. Serai limped into the clearing. Her injured leg gave out. She tripped over a root and fell hard onto the ground near the cabin. She tried to get up, but pain shot through her, and she collapsed again. Ethan stepped out from behind the tree before he could stop himself. Serai's silver eyes found him. She froze. For a moment they just stared at each other. Her voice was rough and weak. "If you are going to kill me," she whispered, "do it fast." Ethan looked at her. Then he looked at the shadows of soldiers moving closer between the trees. Captain Briggs's voice burned in his mind. "No exceptions!" Ethan felt like there was a line drawn in front of him. On one side was duty. On the other was something else, something quiet but strong inside his chest. He took a breath. "Get up," he said quickly. Serai blinked. "What?" "I'm not killing you. I'm hiding you. Get up, now!" He slung his rifle over his shoulder, grabbed her arm and hauled her to her feet. She gasped in pain as weight hit her injured leg. He wrapped her arm over his shoulders and half dragged, half carried her toward the cabin. They reached the door. He kicked it open and pulled her inside. The cabin was small, one room with a bed, a table, a chair, a shelf, and a tiny kitchen corner. Light came in through 2 windows and made dust float like tiny stars. Ethan rushed to the door again and shoved a heavy wooden shelf in front of it. The shelf scraped across the floor and slammed tight against the wood. Serai leaned against the wall, breathing hard. "Where?" she asked. "Where can you hide me? They will search." Ethan ran to the back wall and pulled down an old panel. Behind it was a narrow wooden panel. He slid the panel aside, revealing a dark hidden space between the wall and the outer boards of the cabin. He had built it long ago to store old tools. It was small, but just big enough for 2 people to squeeze in. "Inside," he said. "Hurry." Serai stared at the space, then at him. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "Your people want me dead." "Because I don't. That's enough for now." He helped her crawl into the hidden space and climbed in beside her. He pulled the panel shut. The cabin went dark, except for a thin line of light near the floor. They could hear boots on the porch. "Army patrol!" a voice shouted. "Open up!" The door shook as someone hit it. The shelf held. "Door's jammed, sir. Looks like nobody's home." I recognized the next voice. Jack's, an old squad mate. "Check the windows in the back. Command says the Queen ran this way." Serai's breathing grew fast and shaky in the dark space. I could feel her shoulder brushing mine. The air felt tight and hot. Boots walked around the cabin. Someone hit a window frame. Someone tried to push the door again.
Right behind you.
For a long minute, the noise outside felt very close. Ethan held his breath and kept still. Finally, Jax spoke again. "No sign, sir. She must have turned another way." "Fine," another soldier said. "We keep moving. Command wants her found." The voices grew softer. Boots moved away into the trees. The cabin became silent again. Ethan waited a little longer, just to be sure. Then he pushed the wooden panel open. Warm light spilled into the hidden space. Serai blinked and climbed out slowly. Ethan followed. She stood in the middle of the room, leaning on the wall, her injured leg trembling. Her eyes were shiny, like she might cry but was trying not to. "Why?" she asked, quietly. "Why would you do this? You could have killed me and become a hero to your people." Ethan set his rifle down and rubbed a hand over his face. "I've seen too many people die, humans and Neryth.
I've seen children from both sides hiding in broken houses, scared out of their minds. When I saw you fall, you didn't look like a monster. You looked like someone who was afraid and alone." Her lips shook. One tear ran down her cheek. "I did not start this war," she said softly. "Some of your leaders and some of my council wanted more land, more power. They whispered in dark rooms. They pushed for attacks. When things went wrong, they blamed me. It was easy to point at the alien queen." She looked down. "Now everyone wants me dead." For a moment, the only sound in the cabin was the
faint creak of wood and the distant call of a bird. Ethan took a slow breath. "Humans can be cruel," he said. "We both know that. But humans can be kind, too. Not all of us want this war." Serai raised her head. She repeated his words slowly, almost like she was tasting them. "Humans can be kind, too." A small, tired smile touched her face for the first time. "My name is Serai. I was queen of the Neryth. Now I am just Serai." "I'm Ethan," he said. "Just a soldier. Just Ethan." She let out a soft laugh, then winced as pain moved through her leg. "We need to fix that," Ethan said, pointing at the wound. "Sit on the bed." He fetched a small medical kit from a cabinet and carefully cut open the lower part of her armor. The wound on her leg was deep, but not hopeless. He cleaned it, wrapped it with clean bandage, and tightened it gently. She hissed in pain, but did not pull away. "Your commanders will not accept this. If they find out, they will call you a traitor." "I know," Ethan said. "But maybe we can do something bigger than what they want." He walked to the table, spread out a folded map, and studied it. A river ran south from the forest to a small village. Farther on, old tunnels cut through hills and led toward neutral land. "If we leave at sunrise," he said slowly, "we can follow the river to the village. There is an old truck there. If it still works, we can take back roads and avoid patrols. If we reach the hills, can you contact your people?" Serai looked surprised. "Yes," she said. "If I reach a safe point, I can send a direct message to my fleet. I can tell them the truth about your leaders, and your people can hear mine." "Then that's the plan. We try." They spent the rest of the day resting. Ethan watched the window, listening for soldiers. Serai lay on the bed, eyes half closed, breathing slow. As night came, he lit a small oil lamp. The warm light made the wooden walls glow gold. Outside, the forest grew dark and quiet. They slept in turns. When Ethan awoke from his shift, the first light of dawn was just touching the tops of the trees. "Time to go," he said softly. Serai nodded. Her legs still hurt, but she could stand with help. Ethan gave her a simple wooden staff to lean on. They stepped out of the cabin and into the cool morning air. Mist lay low over the ground. The forest smelled clean and fresh. Sunlight began to leak through branches, turning the mist pale gold. For a moment, it felt like the world might still have hope. They followed a narrow path to the river, then walked along its bank. Water flowed beside them, smooth and quiet. Birds flew overhead. In the distance, the city was just a faint dark shape and a soft orange glow. They walked in silence for a while. Then a sharp humming sound cut through the quiet. Ethan's head snapped up. A small military drone moved across the sky, its red scanner beam sweeping the riverbank. "Get under the trees," Ethan said quickly. They rushed to a thick old tree with low branches and pressed themselves against the trunk. The drone's red light passed over the water and grass. For a moment, The beam moved close to their feet. Ethan held his breath. Then the drone turned and moved away, deeper into the forest. Serai let out a shaky sigh. "Even your machines chase you now," she whispered. "Yeah," Ethan said. "The feeling isn't great." They walked until the trees began to thin and small fields appeared. In the distance, they could see simple houses, dirt roads, and smoke from cooking fires. The village. "Stay close," Ethan said. "Let me talk first." They entered the village slowly. People stopped what they were doing and stared. Children hid behind doors. Women paused with water buckets in their hands. A man froze beside a broken fence. Someone whispered, "Is that one of them?" An old woman with gray hair stepped into the road. Her face was lined with pain and anger. "That creature is the reason my grandson is dead. The city burned, and he never came home. Why is she walking free beside you, soldier?" Serai's eyes dropped to the ground. Ethan looked at the old woman and spoke softly. "I'm sorry about your grandson. No words can fix that. But she did not press the button that dropped those bombs. Some leaders on both sides did this. They used us like pieces on a board. If we hand her over now, nothing changes. If we protect her and help her speak, maybe the killing stops." A man nearby shook his head. "If the army finds her here, they will call us traitors. They will punish us." Ethan nodded. "Maybe," he said. "But I'm taking this risk either way. You have to decide what kind of people you want to be." There was a long, heavy silence. The old woman's shoulders sagged. Her eyes were wet. "I am tired of war," she whispered. "Tired of burying children. If there is even a small chance this helps, I will not be the one to crush it. Hide in my barn. Not for long. Just enough time." She pointed to a wooden barn at the edge of the village. Inside, dust floated in thin lines of light. Old tools leaned against the walls. Under a large tarp stood an old truck with cracked paint and flat-looking tires. Ethan pulled the tarp off and coughed as dust flew up. "This might still work," he said. He checked the engine, found some tools, and worked for a while. Serai sat on a bale of hay, watching him, staff in her hands. "You risk so much," she said quietly. "You risk your rank, your life, the trust of your people." "You risk yours too," he said, closing the hood. "You trusting me not to hand you over." She gave a small smile. "I do not think you will. You already showed me something I did not believe. You showed me that humans can be kind too." The engine coughed, then started with a rough growl. Ethan grinned. "Let's move before it changes its mind." They thanked the old woman, then drove out of the village on the dirt road. Dust rose behind the truck, fields stretched on both sides, the sky was wide and blue. For a little while, it almost felt peaceful. Serai looked out the window. "On my world," she said softly, "we have villages like this too. Small homes, stone paths, children playing near wells. I used to visit them. I thought I was protecting them. Instead, my people and yours both suffered." Ethan listened, his hand steady on the wheel. After some time, the dirt road joined a cracked asphalt road. Far ahead, at a crossroads, he saw something that made his stomach sink. Military trucks, soldiers, a blockade. He slowed the truck and stopped. Captain Briggs stood in front of the line of soldiers, armor clean, face hard as stone. "Ethan Cole, step out of the vehicle. Hands where I can see them. We know who you're carrying." Ethan glanced at Serai. Her fingers tightened around the staff. He opened the door and climbed down, leaving his rifle inside. The sun beat down on the road. Dust swirled around his boots. Among the soldiers, Ethan saw Jax,
The younger man's eyes were full of guilt. He told them, Ethan thought. He told them about the cabin. Briggs walked closer. "You were always too soft," he said, "helping the enemy queen. You know the penalty." "You're wrong about her," Ethan said. "You're wrong about this whole war. She told me what happened. Your leaders and hers started this. They lied to us." Briggs snorted. "And you believe her?" he asked. "You're more foolish than I thought." "She's not the only reason I believe it," Ethan said. "I've seen the way our leaders act. I've seen who gets rich while others die." Briggs raised his hand. "Move aside, soldier. We take her, we end this. Maybe the council will show you mercy if you do as you're told now." Ethan stood firm. "No," he said. The word hung in the hot air. Briggs's face darkened. "Then you die with her." He signaled the soldiers. Rifles lifted. "Wait," Ethan said loudly. "Before you shoot, listen. This morning, I used every channel I could reach. I sent out her message, her story, the proof she gave me. The world is seeing it right now. If you kill her now, you prove she was right. You prove this was all greed and fear." Some soldiers glanced at each other. Serai opened the truck door and stepped down carefully. She stood tall, leaning on her staff, crown catching the light. "Human soldiers," she called, voice clear. "You are tired. You are hurt. Your homes are
broken. So are mine. You have been lied to. So have we. I offer another way. Take me not as a prisoner, but as a voice. Let us talk instead of bleed." Jax's rifle lowered a little. Then something buzzed overhead. 3 drones flew in, different from the ones before. They carried the symbol of the council, the group that claimed to speak for both sides. A calm voice came from the drone speakers. "This is council command," it said. "Stand down. The Queen's statement and the human soldiers' data have been received and broadcast. People on both sides are demanding talks. Any officer who kills now will answer not only to us, but to their own people." Briggs's jaw tightened. He looked at Ethan, at Serai, at his own men, some already lowering their guns. Finally, with a furious shout, he threw his rifle down onto the road. One by one, the other soldiers dropped their weapons too. Ethan let out a breath. Days later, Ethan and Serai stood together on a rooftop at the edge of the city. Below them, people worked in the streets. Some were human, some were Neryth. They lifted broken stone, cleared rubble, and raised simple tents for the wounded. The guns were mostly quiet now. Talks were slow and angry, but they were happening. Truth was no longer hidden in dark rooms. Serai looked over the damaged city and the green line of the forest beyond. "This world will carry scars. So will mine. Scars mean we lived through it. What we do next decides who we become." She turned to him, silver eyes bright. "You changed this. One human who chose not to hate. We changed it. You told the truth. The old woman helped. The soldiers lowered their guns. It took us all." Serai smiled, warm and real. "You proved something to me. You proved that humans can be kind too." Ethan smiled back. "And you proved that the enemy can be a person, not a monster."
They stood side by side as the sun rose higher over the broken city and the healing forest. A human and an alien queen who had started a new path, not with bigger weapons, but with one brave decision: to save, not to destroy.